Hello, chat. Welcome. My name is Z the Zebra. I am a photographer here for Ferality, and this is going to be my tips and tricks panel that I'm running here. Um, it is going to be a focus on the use entirely mostly of the default camera, of how you can use the default camera and tools to your advantage all within VR chat. Nothing external, no like really editing other than like a default Windows editor. So everything I will be talking about here, you can use and will be at your disposal within VR chat itself. We have gotten so many good updates over the past 4 years. 4 years? I think it was 4 years since we got the camera we have now. It was during Legends, Ferality Legends, when this camera came out. And it has gotten so much updates over the years. It is really good. It is like on par almost with VRC lens now. They both have their uses and merits, but this is all about the default camera. How do you use the thing? First off, so this is going to sound kind of redundant to people that already know how to use this, but for the people that have never used it before or have just, brought it out and taken a picture, have never messed with the settings before, how do you use each setting to your advantage? You would be surprised that people don't know that these buttons exist. Now, you can change the resolution of your photo, for one. You can change it all the way up to 8K. I don't recommend doing that in big instances, though. You will lag a lot. And a lot of people don't realize as well, there is a rule of threes, or I guess it's called a grid on the default camera, which brings up a grid that lets you actually like focus things more on, I guess, lets you get things into a shot. Like, there's three grids, like that one. There's a grid. It lets you be able to you get things in focus pretty much. It lets you line things up a lot easier. You'd be surprised at how many people don't realize that this button exists. Now, what is a mask? There's masks and there's filters on the default camera. Don't use the filters. The filters are not what they seem like they are. They are kind of generic and not very good in my opinion. Now, using a mask, however, is incredibly useful. There's different options for the mask, where you have your local user, remote user, world, and you have a green screen and UI. UI and green screen are off by default. They also have their uses, which now you could actually use the green screen for using the default camera as a streaming VTuber with their new like face tracking or whatever. I haven't really messed with that at all, so don't have anything about that. But it is possible. It is possible. Now, the masks are incredibly useful because if you mask out the world, obviously the world is blank, and you have a blank slate of your avatar, and you don't have to crop it out or edit it yourself. The camera does that for you. Now, if you're in a big instance or just an instance with friends and you want to take a really cool photo, but you don't want people blocking your shot and you don't have to ask them to move, you have the power to just hide remote users entirely. And the reverse is same with your local user. It just hides you. Now, I always tend to use the manual focus of the camera mode. There's 3 focus settings. There's a manual, a full auto, and a semi-auto. A full auto will add I don't actually have a slide for this one, but full auto will have a dot in the center of your camera, and you can hold your camera and click to move that focus point. So if you're not really good at focusing, there's that option, or semi-auto, which has the same thing, except it controls your aperture for you. But I always use manual because now we have the use of focal distance and aperture. Plus, the recent change, you can actually show your peaking point. That is the red here. I cranked both of them up as an example to show you the peaking point. That shows you what's in focus and what's not in focus. and it is incredibly useful. Thank you so much for adding that, because that was a struggle with the default camera in the past. It was really hard to see if things were actually in focus, especially if you were on an older headset with a really bad screen door effect. It was really hard to tell if things were in focus or if your aperture was right. But now we have an ability to see that, which is incredibly useful. It was really good for getting that nice blurry background to get a focus on the subject that you're trying to shoot. Oops, wrong way. Now here's an example, one of my favorite recent examples that I've taken myself, of the difference between a photo with no focus or aperture versus a photo with aperture and focus. I'm trying not to go so fast. I feel like I'm talking way too fast, you guys. I'm sorry. It's kind of hard. It might be hard to tell on stream, but you can sort of tell here. The top photo has no focus or no aperture. As you can see, everything is visible. You can see everything in the background. Nothing is blurred out. Versus the bottom photo here, which has focus and has a little bit of aperture, thus making the background a little bit blurry and obscured, bringing more focus to the subject in the middle. Thank you to you. I am very nervous, as you can probably tell. The camera has gotten so many good updates over the years. Who remembers when the camera was just a little white rectangle with 3 colored buttons? That thing was so incredibly hard to use. You could not do any of this with that old camera. So thankfully, in the 4 years it's been since, it has gotten so many good updates. Click photo done. Yeah. That camera even used to have a selfie stick. If you remember that, that's really old. That's no longer around anyway. I feel like I skipped over a slide here. Let me go back for a second. Did I skip over one? I feel like I did. No, I did not. Never mind. I'm just talking too fast because I'm nervous. Yeah, the old camera was really, really bad. It was not great for getting... It didn't have any kind of settings whatsoever. Excuse me, sorry. And it only had 3 options. It had we still had the pins. It has the pin. It had the pins we have now. It had world drop and filters. So that was it. But they were also really incredibly hard to click on. You had to like hold the camera with 2 hands, and it was a mess. Anyway, moving on. Now the biggest thing, I'm going to talk about this the most, so this will probably pan out the time a little bit longer. Worlds and lighting. Worlds and lighting are pretty much everything when it comes to using the default camera. The lighting especially is the most important. Lighting is key to every good kind of photo you can take, whether it be with VRC lens or with the default camera. Lighting is key. And these are some examples here that I will be in... I believe we'll be in a Discord so you can see the full resolution here. These 3 photos as well, believe it or not, these 3 images were taken with the default camera. These are all unedited except for being cropped. The only editing here is crop. I did not edit these photos whatsoever. These are all taken in VR chat with the use of the default camera and the use of worlds. So, for example, the purple one here with the purple circle. That one, yes. This is taken in a world called Shadow Factory. So you can grab a bunch of different objects and put it in front of a light to make different shapes. So they also had different colored flashlights. They had a red and blue flashlight that I just aimed at each other, slightly offset, to get the red and blue image on the side here. And I just stood in front of it with my camera slightly to the side of the light so it wasn't blocking the light. And that's how I got this photo. That is all taken in VR. No external tool, no editing whatsoever. Just And anyone can do this. That is what this panel is for. Anyone can do this. This is literally anyone can do this. The middle photo here is taken in a world that has a panel you can bring up by pulling down your right stick. It'll bring up a world options. And it has so many options to customize the world lighting, add one of my favorite features, which I'll talk about in a second, called Ambient occlusion. And you can even change the filter of the world, so you can make it look like anything you want. It's incredibly useful. I believe that was, I don't remember the exact world name, but it was one of Wispy Woo's recent worlds, because they have a lot of world settings for changing how the world looks to the user, and it's all local. Those worlds are all local, so whatever you change will not show up for anybody else. The final image, that one. This, I don't remember the name of this world either, but again, that was all taken in VR chat itself. I don't remember the world name. I have it saved because I do collect a lot of worlds for photography. I have over 150 worlds right now saved that I use just for taking photos, photo shoots, whatever you like. That one just happens to have that native reflection on the floor, which is really good. All of these worlds are in my public profile. I do have them public to anybody to look at and skim through if you so desire. Now, exactly, no VRC lens, no problem, use a world. This is the world I was talking about. This is an example of, not every world has one of these, but this is an example of the world that has a settings panel that will let you customize the look of the world to your liking. Shadow Factory, thank you for that, linking them to that. This has literally every kind of world setting you want. It has every setting that VRC lens has, this panel has. It is incredibly useful to any user for taking professional, I guess, photos. It's incredibly useful. Like, not only is it for your eye comfort with the different settings you can choose from, if you're just wanting to chill in a world, you have that option. But I mostly use these worlds for photography because ambient occlusion, the one that's cranked up there on the bottom, my favorite setting is ambient occlusion. If you don't know what ambient occlusion is, I think that's my next slide, actually. Oh, no, it's not. Worlds and lighting. This is another example of a photo that I took myself. This is all in VR chat. You could take a photo like this yourself. There will be higher res versions of this in Discord that you can look at. But this is a photo I took with myself with the default camera. Didn't change anything. I did not do any external editing except for color correction on the default Windows editor. That's all I've done. That's the only edit to this photo there is. And this was all me in VR in a world that I just thought it looked really good. Everything here on my avatar is obviously my own that I've done with Unity. The fireflies is not part of the world. That is my avatar, so that is not part of the world that is on my avatar. But yes, find worlds, experiment with things. You would be surprised what anyone can do with the default camera. This is obviously this is my favorite photo of the year, by the way. The best photo I've taken of myself, which I'm actually going to be submitting to a art gallery in Japan. Somebody linked me something that I've been busy and forgot about it, but this will be submitted to something. My favorite photo of the entire year so far is this one. The default camera is amazing, you guys. You have no idea the power of this camera if you know how to use its settings properly, and anyone can do it. You can do this today if you so desire. I need to take a swig of something. I've been talking way too fast. Stay hydrated, everybody. My morning coffee. It is early in the morning for me. I'm incredibly nervous, if you couldn't tell. Here's another example of a photo that I took. This one actually won me a photo contest. One of Lindy's photo contests that she held in her server, or I'm sorry, I don't remember. They held in their server. They actually have a booth here at Virality this year. You could go check them out. Shout out to Lindy. Because I'm actually using one of their systems in this photo. This is another photo that I took with the default camera, all in world. There is no editing to this photo at all, except for around the edges. And it's a little bit cropped where it's supposed to be. I think this is the unedited one, actually. Yeah, this is the unedited photo. It's supposed to be a little bit cropped to the side because I'm not center. But all with the default camera. I don't remember the name of this world either, unfortunately. It's buried in my world list, so it'd take me a minute to find it. I should have kept a list. I could probably find it later and post it in the Discord that I'll have after, if I can find it. But this is all world lighting. This is in a really incredibly nice world. If you ever explored it, if you recognize it, a lot of cool shipwrecks and water. It has a really dark kind of Dark Souls vibe to it. And this is the world. This is the world by default. It looks really cool, and I just thought this looked like a good shot. It's like a fallen warrior type shot, you know. I have other ones. I don't think I put them in here though. But yes, again, I cannot emphasize this enough. World lighting, default world lighting is key to what you want to get a good photo. Kingdom Hearts, yes. If you noticed my other one, I have my own custom keyblade in this shot that a friend of mine made for me, which is actually kind of themed after Silva a little bit. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts nerd. You get me talking, and I'll tell you the lore of the land. Yes, ambient occlusion. My favorite thing to talk about worlds. If you can find a world that has a setting for ambient occlusion, it will make your avatar look so much better. And this is the best example I have of an ambient occlusion and what it does to my avatar's tail. It simulates, in short terms, in simple terms, it just simulates soft shadows and enhance the visual detail and adds realism. But this is the difference of what it is on versus off. So the middle one here is what it looks like on, and the other one is what it looks like off. Huge difference. There is a huge difference. Yeah, RTX on versus RTX off. It will make your avatar look incredible. That's where this one comes into play. This is using ambient occlusion, and that's why it looks almost like a render. Funny enough, this photo and some other ones I was actually posting in a Discord of a friend's. They had kind of rules of like only VRC photos in this channel, and I'm like, but this is a photo from VRC. It's not a render. They thought this photo has been mistaken for a render before. That's how well and convincing it is. But if you can find a world with ambient occlusion, i.e. that's why I suggested using one that has a panel like this, it will make your photos look 10 times better. Like, it will improve the visual of almost any avatar. Now, there is two different versions of ambient occlusion. Some older worlds have one that's labeled different. I believe this one is MSVO. There is one that's labeled different. Don't use that one. That one breaks things. It makes you like transparent. At least for me, for my avatar, it makes me transparent, and then I just have floating eyeballs and a mouth. Don't use that one. It's pretty bad. Yes. My favorite thing that I do and love to do, it's a lot of fun. If you aren't familiar with what an MMD world is, I use these a lot for example photos and timing, because we don't have a rapid fire mode on the camera. I really wish we had a rapid fire mode. It'd make things so much easier. If the default camera had a rapid fire mode where you could like hold the trigger down or something to take a photo, I'm not sure. There used to be a bug for it, but that got fixed. you used to be able to click the timer on your camera multiple times and it would activate multiple timers. They fixed that, unfortunately. That was fixed because it was a bug. But of MMD world, MMD stands for Miku Miku Dance. If you're any familiar with an MMD world, or if you're not familiar with an MMD world, it essentially just takes your avatar and plays it into an animation. They're a lot of fun. MMD, if people need to. Sorry, I distracted by chat. These are all photos I've taken with myself that are also unedited. Well, except for a little color correction and edge shadows. That's about it. And that is only with the default Windows editor. Believe it or not, that's all I really use for my VR photos is the default editor. I don't do very much in terms of like Lightroom or any external tools. But again, that's anybody could make photos like these. These are all taken with MMD. Sadly, this particular MMD world that are these 3 photos no longer exists. That world was taken down for I don't know the exact reason. Something happened, I guess. I don't know. But this world sadly no longer exists. But I still wanted to use these photos as an example. Again, I'm talking way too fast. I keep stuttering. I apologize. These photos will be in a Discord channel later if you want to see the full res versions. But yes, these were all taken in an MMD world by myself with the default camera. And it's perfect for if you don't have, say you don't have full body or you don't even have VR. You could do photos like this with the default camera. If you don't have full body, if you don't have, even if you're in desktop, you can get photos like this because you can still bring out the camera in both. They're a lot of fun. And sometimes I'll just sit there for hours and just watch my avatar dance because it's a lot of fun. You should try it out sometime, an MMD world. Some more examples that I've taken of an MMD. These photos are all taken with MMD. And funny enough, if you recognize this one here that says friends, that was my banner photo that I took. I just changed the text. You'd be surprised at how well you can make things look. Unfortunately, my banner was not on the schedule when I looked. I don't know why, but it's okay. Things happen. So this Friends was my banner photo, which was at the beginning, the very first slide. I just changed the text. All taken with MMD as well. Some MMD worlds have different lighting, some don't. Depending on what your avatar looks like, you might get washed out too much by the lighting. But a lot of them have different stages that you can choose from, which all have different lighting. I meant to get a video as an example. I didn't get around to that, unfortunately. But you can just search MMD in the world search, and you can find any MMD world. The one I particularly use now is constantly getting updated with new dances and I forget what they're exactly called, expressions. I don't remember what the correct term is for it, but they're a lot of fun. You should try them out sometime. You can just get really good shots with MMD. It's really good at practicing timing, or you can just spam the button. That's kind of what I do most of the time, especially in worlds with actual like club worlds, for example. I mostly take photos in the club here for Virality. And a lot of my photos from last year, I wish I had some examples in here. I don't. That you can get really good lighting with the lasers. You just have to get lucky. A lot of my shots are just luck based. I'll be honest with that, because there's no rapid fire mode. You just got to sit there and pull the trigger and hope for the best. I really want a rapid fire mode for the default camera. I really do. More MMD photos. I was expecting to talk about this a lot longer. But yeah, again, all of these photos are taken with MMD with the default camera. They're unedited. None of these photos are edited except for the cropping of this one, that one there, this one, this one, this one. This one was just cropped and added shadow to the edges. And that's it. Only kind of editing with the default Windows editor. Rapid fire would be really nice. Yes, correct. I really want a rapid fire mode. But again, and not every avatar also has blend shapes with MMD. If you have ever been to one, if you want your eyes or mouth to move when you're doing photos like they are here, like this one here of my Nova Beast rune, the mouth is open because the Nova Beast has a MMD blend shapes in Unity. Not every avatar will have blend shapes. If you don't know how to add that stuff, it's a little bit complicated. But just experiment with your avatars and see if they do or not, because this is supposed to be focused on no external tools at all. It's like if you don't know how to do Unity to add, say, like VRC lens or add blend shapes to make your mouth move. Oh my goodness, lag. And some worlds just don't have lip syncing at all. You are correct. Or if your avatar happens to have a blend shape decimator on it to help with optimization, it will actually not let your MMD blend shapes work even if you have them. I found that out. But there is a fix for that with VRC Fury, but I'm not going to get into that because that is a whole nother ballpark. It's not terribly difficult to do, but not everybody knows how to use Unity. That's why I didn't really want to talk about VRC Lens very much. But how you can... This is how an MMD world works, if you've never been to one before. Most MMD worlds have this little blue bubble that you can put the camera in. So you can put the camera in there and drop it in world. So once you actually click start on the dance, you go up to the board, you choose a song, you stand on a circle, and you just watch your avatar dance. And then you could hold the camera and just take whatever photo you want. I had the focus settings on, I think, in this one, but most worlds will have settings for that anyway. This is really good for not just fun, because this is a lot of fun. I've spent hours just watching my own avatar dance in desktop before because I was bored. But you can do this in desktop, so what I mostly use it for now, when I'm doing Unity work myself, because I do my own stuff, I like to sit there with VRChat open in a world while I'm on red and I just have my status as testing, and I'll go to a MMD world and see if things are working or see if things are clipping, because I don't want to have to constantly do Unity, upload the avatar, get back into VR, put everything back on, and then if something's broken, have to take it back off and then go back to my desk to fix it. This really good worlds for that. Not only is it good for testing, they're a lot of fun, and anybody can do it. Whether you have full body or your desktop, it's just incredible fun. Now, I don't remember the exact name of this world either. It is the world that I've been using the most since the other one was taken down. It is a bit heavy because they keep updating it. It is about I think it's over a gig now in download size, which is insane. But it's still a lot of fun. I highly recommend checking it out sometime. And yeah, I think that's my last... Yeah, that was my last one. I meant to talk about... I wish I had more example photos in here for you. But yes, the experiment with worlds... If you would like to check out a lot of the ones that I've personally saved, I do have them linked in, or I do have them public in my VRChat profile. If you would like to check out some of the worlds that I've been collecting and saving for photos, a lot of them are very pretty. Most of them are strictly for photography. There's nothing really there to do other than look at pretty scenes. But that's what they're for. Experiment, world hop, find what works, and especially look for worlds with worlds. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. I'm sorry. The panel. World setting panels are your friend, especially if there's lighting settings as well. Look for that if you want to take a really good photo with the default camera. I highly recommend it. And anyone can do this. This is all at your fingertips within VR itself. Anyone can do it. And that's what I wanted to share with all of you today, was the facts that you don't have to know how to use Unity or a VRC lens to take a good photo within VR. 90% of people, or I guess more than half, I don't know, tend to just bring the camera out and take a quick photo with it, and that's it. But you can do so much more. If you want to take really, really good photos with the use of the default camera and not having an external photographer or having VRC lens or having another avatar to do it, it's there. You just gotta apply certain things in certain worlds, and that's pretty much it. It's all there at your disposal, and it's all free. Nothing is paid except for, well, if you're in VR, you obviously bought a headset, but that's pretty much it for what I wanted to talk about. Everyone can do it. I believe in you. Believe in me who believes in you. And you can do this kind of photography. If you would like to see all of the photos I've used as examples, they will be in a Discord at the end, I believe. Gesture managers must? Yes, gesture manager is huge for when testing things. But that's pretty much it. And you probably would have never guessed that this was, I did mention this. This was an MMD photo that I took as an example of my banner. It's just a dumb photo, but it was fun. It was fun. And anyone can do it. I hope I'm kind of glad that this was actually so early in the morning for me and so early in the con. So maybe you guys can apply some of this to your photos here. Well, obviously not messing with world settings in the Virality worlds, but you can mess with the focus settings. And you can experiment. You can get really good photos. I can't wait to see what stuff turns out by the club. I personally haven't seen what the club looks like yet, or the lobby. I don't know what either of those look like. I can't wait to see all of this. Also, I should mention, if you do see one of our photographers around and want a photo, don't mention to ask. I've already had somebody ask while in a meetup before this panel. Our photographers are more than happy to take photos for you. We do also upload the photos to Virality Moments. I don't remember the exact link if one of you has that. All the con photos that all of the photographers will take are uploaded to Virality Moments. So you can still see everything that we take. Or, well, everything we upload, not everything we take, but... But yeah, I think that's all I got to talk about. I think I got a little extra time for a Q&A, I think, right? If we want to do a Q&A live and then use the Discord channel to show it just as an example for photos.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi everyone, hello, I'm Nerdy Hydra or Hydie. I'm an event coordinator here. If you have any questions for the Q&A, you can toss them into our Discord Q&A channel for this panel. It's called VR Photography Tips and Tricks Q&A. But yeah, I'll start taking a few here. Starting from the top, we have the cat named Fish, who says, do you have any tips or tricks for people without face tracking, like getting your eyes to look at the camera?
Oh, yeah, I should have mentioned that. Yes, if I don't have face tracking, believe it or not, this avatar is very expressive. I talk with my hands a lot. There's a big setting that I like to use. If you don't have face tracking, you can customize your controller's keybinds. I personally have a gesture lock. So I can press my bottom button here on my controller, so I can do whatever gesture. So I'll just do this, for example, and I can lock my gestures and this gesture will stay, and I can still use my fingers if you have index controllers. Gesture lock. It's in your radial menu, or you can set a keybind for it. Gesture lock is the best for if you don't have face tracking, because I don't have face tracking.
Oh, lovely. Do you have any favorite worlds that you like taking photos in? That one's asked by Kate Clinton.
Oh, my favorite world? One of my favorite worlds is I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts nerd, so there is a Destiny Island world that has a really good sunset that I like to take photos in. I don't remember the exact name of it because searching Destiny Island will get you a bunch of different worlds. But it is a world from Kingdom Hearts. That is my favorite.
Oh, lovely. This one's asked by Duo Vandal. What's a good way to light an avatar regardless of world?
A good way to light an avatar. Some avatars come with a lighting setting. If you don't have that, there are other worlds that are specific for lighting. I do have a world that's just called A Whole Lot of Lights. Unless you know Unity, there's no real good way to get your avatar lit up unless you use VRC lens, which has an option to increase your exposure. That's one of the few things that the default camera doesn't have is white balance and exposure. So if you know how to use Unity, I would recommend VRC lens for that, which is actually quite simple to set up, believe it or not. It's but there isn't really a way to do lights on your avatars without doing something external with a world.
Oh, for sure. I know I've definitely seen you at different conventions taking photos, so I think you can answer this one by Curly. It says, question, how much does VRC photography map 1-to-1 with real-world photography? Can I still do aperture priority? And asking as a Fujifilm shooter.
So the aperture, it's not necessarily 1-to-1. You have a lot more tools at your disposal in VR versus real-world photography. A real-world camera is a lot more complicated because the way the settings work are completely different. It does help. I started off as a VR photographer, and I do IRL photos, which I really wish I had some examples of in my slides. It's not really 1-to-1. The settings are kind of similar, but not really, because virtual aperture versus IRL aperture work completely different.
Okay, gotcha. This one's asked by Botch Frivarg. My apologies if I absolutely butchered the name here. But as someone who's used to physical cameras, as a hobbyist photographer, I find the VR chat camera extremely fiddly to control. Like it doesn't have any focus ring. So any tips to help with controlling the camera?
The default camera doesn't have a very long zoom. It does have good focus options now. If you use the manual mode and you really work at adjusting the focus and aperture, now that we can actually see where the peaking is, it does help a lot. So if you stand farther back from your subject and zoom in and then adjust your aperture and focal length, it does help more. But also while you're holding it, if you don't have steady hands, like I don't, my hands are pretty shaky, turn on the world behavior for smoothing and your camera won't shake, but you could also turn on the auto level options so your camera will always stay level regardless of what direction you move it.
All right. So you might have addressed this a little bit one before, but actually, I think that one was actually asked before you get to the MMD. So do you have any? This one's actually by Zamakir. Do you have any tips for world builders to make great lighting for photography?
Ooh, for a world builder, I would say if you can find something, I don't know how worlds work, so I don't know how complicated this would be. But if you could somehow add a settings panel to let the user control the lighting of the world and just the general settings, much like that example, my slide, if you can add some sort of panel like this is huge for worlds. If you can add something like this to let us change everything of the lighting, that will make the best photo possible for us.
Oh, lovely. Um, Cypress has something similar, but actually is saying on the avatar end. What do you think avatar creators can do to make their avatar better for
Ooh,
photography?
there add a default slider to let somebody change their avatar brightness. So some avatars have it and some don't. Some of mine do and some of mine don't. I personally don't know how to set that up in Unity. But if you can add some sort of radial wheel to let somebody control the brightness of their avatar, that would be amazing.
Lovely. Fed Phoenix asks, when did you start doing BRC photography? And what would you say as advice to anyone inspired by you to be just like you?
I started doing VR photography a couple years ago. I started working for some clubs and then some like mostly just clubs and like gentleman type clubs, I guess. And then I eventually got into doing photography for Virality. But it's just as a beginner, experiment. You're gonna, just like anything you do for the first time, you're gonna be just gonna suck at it. But anyone can do that with the tools that I've talked about. When it comes to doing like candid shots, when things are constantly in motion, though, I tend to use full autofocus more than actual manual focus because I'd be spending too much time getting my shot in focus and then miss the shot. So I do recommend full auto or no focus at all if it's like things in motion or people in motion.
So you've probably done a few of these shots where you might be in a big club or a big friend gathering or something, and you have like a large group of people. What do you think is like the best way to handle like a large group of people and taking photography as a group picture?
Taking a photo as a group picture. I would recommend, if you don't have the best computer to handle a lot of people, use your culling to your advantage. Like, for example, when I'm in the club world, I have my culling set to a certain meters. So when people are first spawning in the world, it's not loading their avatar. It's only loading them when they come in the radius of me in the main dance floor. But for a big group photo, I would recommend setting your camera up first. And then, believe it or not, turn around because that will help. You can still see what everybody's doing with your camera, but you'll be facing the opposite direction, which does help with FPS, believe it or not.
Oh, lovely. Um, Someone's asking also, what's your opinion on the dolly and its uses for photos and videos? I know that's a new feature that came out recently.
They are both new features that I personally haven't messed with very much. I have not used the dolly or the drone. I do use the flying mode. The flying mode is very useful for setting up your shot because you can set the behavior and now you can actually change the flying speed of the flying mode of the camera. So I do use that to set shots up. But I've never used the dolly camera for photos, unfortunately. That's more of a videography based tool.
Sure. Actually, kind of speaking about videography, are you able to use a bit of these photography tips and tricks to help with
Oh yeah,
recording in VR
absolutely.
chat?
Absolutely. These tips do still apply to videos. You can still change world settings like the ambient occlusion or whatever to get your shot that you want. I guess you could use an example of in that panel that I showed for the world settings, you can make everything black and white. Say you were shooting like a noir type scene. You could just make the thing black and white and not have to change it in post. I will say with the dolly camera though, the only tool I have for that is each one that you put down, you can set a different focus for. That's the only thing about it I know.
Oh, for sure. On the off chance, if you have any Quest experience, do you have any tips for standalone?
I have never used Quest, unfortunately. So you would have to try to find a world for if you're a standalone user. You'd have to try to find a world that will be compatible with you. I don't have anything Quest compatible myself, unfortunately.
All right, this one's asked by Snee. Do you prefer certain shaders for avatars when it comes to taking pictures?
Shaders, they do matter sometimes. Your shader can affect the way your avatar is lit up. But most of the time, it doesn't really matter what your shader is. It depends on how the shader affects your avatar in the world lighting. An example I can give, sometimes your shader will affect your lighting so much that you're like completely washed out if there's too much light. Like, if you're standing too much in a spotlight that's way too bright, your avatar will be completely washed out. But that can be either the world's problem or your shader. It's either or, but usually it doesn't affect much.
Oh, for sure. Oh, thank you. Suki asks, what is VRC lens?
Oh, right. I didn't really talk about that. I'm sorry. VRC Lens is a tool that you can buy off of Booth or Jinxie, or Gumroad. Not Jinxie. I don't think it's on Jinxie. It is a tool that basically takes your default camera and has a bunch of extra settings like a real-world camera will have. The only downside to that is you have to know how to use Unity to apply it, and it has to be set to your specific graphics card in Unity. And it is avatar dependent. So whatever avatar you put it on is the avatar you have to take the picture with, unless you're taking photos of somebody else or something else. It's just an external tool. That's why I didn't want to talk about it very much. It is a very useful external tool, but if you don't know how to do Unity or have a really good enough computer to handle it, I wouldn't recommend it. The default camera is still really good, but VRC Lens is also good.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen some phenomenal stuff with the VRC lens, but the default camera is already
a lot of
so
our photographers still use VRC Lens. I still use it myself. I don't plan on using it for this convention, though.
Gotcha. Ladius asks some questions like, is it recommendable to use external light sources for photography for better lighting?
Sometimes. It depends on the kind of scene that you want. There are assets you can add to an avatar to put down an extra light. Or it is beneficial, but it's very situational. Like if you're doing an actual photo shoot, it is a pretty good thing to do because some of them you can even change the color of the light, I think. I've never messed with them for myself. I tend to use only worlds to my advantage rather than adding something to my avatar to do so. But it does help. If you can know how to do it, I'd recommend it. Or I'd say go for it.
This person also asks, like, you can lock your pose with Gogo Loco, or if you open up your desktop while shooting pictures, but is there any other tips or tricks that you use to lock your avatar in a certain pose while taking pictures, if you got something you really like?
I wouldn't say there is a way to lock, other than Gogo Loco or gesture lock, there isn't really a way to lock your avatar in place. And the only tool I can think of that I've seen is a tool from Booth that lets you actually pose your avatar, but I've never messed with it. I only know about it. So it is a tool that lets you freeze your avatar in place, and then you could externally move each individual joint. I don't remember what it's called because it's a Booth asset and it uses Booth's version of like VRC Fury to install, and I have no idea how that works. But there are other tools for it, but unfortunately, I don't know how they work. Sometimes you can sit in a world share, but that's all I would know. If you can find a world that has chairs that put your avatar in a pose, those exist. But other than Gogo Loco, I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose there's always those funny animations of dances and whatnot.
There's an old world that is broken now that did used to have a Jacko pose chair.
Oh my goodness.
As an example.
The last question this person asks is, what's your favorite Keyblade beside your own?
Ooh, that is an amazing question. Whoever asked that, thank you. My favorite. I don't want to be generic and just say Kingdom Key because I do love that one a lot. But my favorite one would have to be from Kingdom Hearts 2, and you get it when Axel dies, called Bond of Flame. It is not very useful and it's not a very good Keyblade, but it's one of my favorites because I like the look of it.
Oh, lovely. Aster here asks, are there any tools that can add camera tilt, or is it a matter of cropping and editing outside VR chat?
We actually kind of have a camera tilt natively now. If you don't turn off the horizon on your camera, whichever way you rotate the camera, the shot will be tilted that direction now. But which is pretty useful because there is auto rotate now for portrait mode. If you rotate your camera in portrait mode, the camera will auto rotate it for you, and when you take the picture in portrait mode, the actual shot that shows up in your camera's folder is in portrait mode for you. But yeah, you can do camera tilt natively with the camera, so you don't have to do it in post.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like we're running down on time, so we might get only one or two more in here. But do you have any, maybe on the tilts and everything, any good like tilt tips and tricks at all?
I wouldn't say there is. The tilting is a bit weird because it might flip the camera. If you go too far, it might flip it into portrait mode, or it might not. So not really. I don't really have a solution for that. Unfortunately, yes, I saw someone else's comment in chat. The flying drone, or the default flying mode, has a extension limit, so you can't fly it too far away from you.
Okay. I think that's about all the time we have for Q&A here. We're getting down to the end here. I just want to say that if you have any more questions for Q&A, we still have our Discord channel, the VR Photography Tips and Tricks Q&A. Go to Discord. You can ask any questions there. Z can be there after this panel, or potentially meet other people in the community to potentially answer any questions you have there.
If you see me around,
that's all for now.
Ask me in person. I'm more than happy to give you knowledge.
Yes, he's an amazing member of our Virality photography team, and so you will see her running around this convention and taking a bunch of photos. All right, I believe that might be about all the time we have here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.